The phone rang while the wine was still aerating. That's how I recall it. The glass cradled in my hand, the gentle rotation, the liquid moving as if it held secrets I had yet to discover. My phone buzzed once against the marble surface, sharp and demanding. I didn't check it immediately. I already understood who was calling. He never reached out unless he wanted confrontation. "What do you think you're doing?" The words exploded across the terrace, piercing enough to capture attention. A utensil froze mid-journey at the neighboring table. The violinist on the balcony stumbled over a phrase. Paris hesitated. "You're fired," he pressed on, his voice trembling with fury. "We don't need a lazy parasite living off my—" I chuckled. Not theatrically, not for show. Just sufficient for him to register it. Then I ended the call. Stillness flooded in, dense, weighty, gratifying. I lifted my glass and turned toward the man seated beside me, gray suit, steady gaze, no necktie. The CEO of our largest rival, conveniently lodging at the same hotel, conveniently positioned within earshot of everything. To timing, I offered. He touched his glass to mine and grinned like someone who just witnessed a snare snap shut. Paris had been sanctioned, officially cleared. 6 years of endless workdays, 6 years of constructing his domain while he labeled it kinship. 6 years of being wed to his daughter and bound by his manipulation. This journey was meant to demonstrate faith. Instead, it provided proof. The terrace carried scents of citrus rind and costly hubris. Linen coverings, muted amusement, influence masquerading as relaxation. My father-in-law despised my presence there, despised my composure, despised that I wasn't pleading. He always believed shame functioned best before an audience. That was his miscalculation. I gazed at the river and sensed something release within me. Not rage, not grief, something purer. The final strand of devotion severing without noise. I didn't justify myself. I didn't reference the authorization message he'd approved. I didn't bring up the quarterly figures I'd sustained alone. That iteration of myself expired quietly on that terrace. I'd witnessed treachery before, simply never this transparent. At home, I was the son-in-law, the troubleshooter, the man who facilitated mergers, concealed litigation, persuaded unions into compliance, in spaces where I wasn't announced by name, only by purpose. This is the one who eliminates complications. I eliminated his adversaries. I erased his errors. I made his enterprise appear exceptional while he performed as monarch. And he still labeled me indolent. The insult wasn't novel. The moment was. He craved dominance. Wanted to emphasize who controlled my existence. What he failed to recognize, what nobody observes when they're shouting, is who's pulling the levers. I didn't hurry. Vengeance executed hastily is careless. I paid attention. The rival beside me spoke deliberately. He didn't propose anything. He didn't require persuasion. He already understood my credentials better than my spouse did. He'd been observing for years. You constructed their logistical framework, he said quietly. You unified their information systems. You refined their distribution network. I acknowledged this. And you still possess entry, he continued. I smiled. Paris dissolved into calculation. While my father-in-law raged into recordings, I authorized a preliminary understanding that would be formalized before my flight touched down. Advisory position, ownership stake, discretion, not allegiance, synchronization. I raised my glass once more, this time to understanding. When I returned, chaos erupted. My dismissal notification had already circulated. Theatrical, spiteful. He copied half the leadership as though a ruler proclaiming punishment. My wife remained unaware. Human resources too. By midday, the initial system malfunction occurred. Small, bothersome. A regional depot couldn't balance stock. Vehicles halted, shipments postponed. Nothing disastrous yet. By nightfall, support inquiries tripled. The automated navigation collapsed. My navigation, the one I'd cautioned them never to modify without me. By the third day, alarm began suffocating them. Suppliers demanded explanations. Associates suspended agreements. Figures hemorrhaged silently. I observed from afar. Composed, businesslike. Advisory discussions with my new organization scheduled between morning beverages and fitness routines. I hadn't undermined anything. I'd merely ceased shielding them. He contacted me again, this time subdued. You need to repair this. No acknowledgement of wrongdoing, merely presumption. I allowed the quiet to expand. Let him experience it. You terminated me, I stated flatly. You're still family, he retorted. That word carried no meaning anymore. By the second week, the leadership was fractured. The daughter I'd married found herself trapped between sides, bewildered, frustrated, finally pursuing answers she should have sought years earlier. Did you truly accomplish everything he claimed? She questioned. I didn't respond. The reality was revealing itself faster without my intervention. Then arrived the examination, my preferred element. The rival I'd toasted with didn't poach customers. He didn't need to. He disclosed intelligence quietly, lawfully. The variety that attracts regulatory scrutiny. Compliance investigations became aggressive. Previous improprieties emerged. Documentation I'd warned against resurfaced under harsh illumination. Suddenly, I wasn't the dilemma. I was the absent remedy. They summoned me to a leadership session. No designation, no contrition, merely desperation. I entered that chamber wearing attire I'd purchased in Paris. He avoided my eyes initially. The space smelled of anxiety and stagnant atmosphere. Graphics on displays, crimson indicators, deterioration. You require me, I stated evenly. He finally acknowledged my presence. I developed the infrastructure sustaining this organization, I continued. You dismissed me, assuming I was expendable. Silence. I'm not returning, I concluded. The word returning settled like a burial seal. His domain didn't disintegrate immediately. That would have been compassionate. Instead, it decayed. Customers departed gradually. Leadership resigned discreetly. My wife initiated separation proceedings after the third instance he attempted to weaponize her as negotiation leverage. The ultimate strike wasn't dramatic. It was a takeover declaration. His greatest opponent, a recognizable emblem, a recognizable identity. Mine. I stood on a different terrace months afterward. Not Paris. Somewhere more elevated, more tranquil. My glass contained the identical wine. He monitored the media briefing from his workspace. No calls this occasion, no degradation, merely comprehension. I don't despise him. Hatred is chaotic, sentimental, fleeting. I discovered something superior. Respect isn't commanded. It's imposed. And when you confuse dedication for frailty, don't be astonished when the silent one masters how to claim everything without elevating his voice. I completed my beverage and allowed the silence to finish the work.